it do, fanbots? Hawkeye or Hawkeye here.
Director again.
And now we are doing We've Got Issues. I don't know what just happened to me. And now we're doing the latest episode of We've Got Issues.
Valentine's Day edition.
Wow, 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 wow. That's not a Valentine's Day sound.
Well, it could be.
So
you know how it goes. Let's do it.
You do know how it goes. No, she's right. You've got this. Let's get on to
What
it.
were you gonna say?
That was it. That was what I was going to say.
Guys, up first, here he is.
Alrighty. The first thing I'm going to review, I guess, is Thor because it was amazing and I love Jason Aaron. And he's just the most, hey, we're both doing a title from Jason Aaron today.
We're so cute, we didn't even realize it.
That is kind of cute. Thor, yes.
Ooh, Guy has the special one.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I love the artist Phil Noto. It was the main reason I decided to pick up Black Widow when it started. What hooked me was Nathan Edmondson's amazing writing. But I saw that Phil Noto was doing an actual title. Like, he was actually going to be on a title. And that's one of those rare things, like Adam Hughes actually finishing a comic. So I had to pick it up. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Thor. And Noto did a variant of it. And it's beautiful. It's Lady Sif, who's amazing, and Thor, who's amazing. So what more do you need from me? Like I said, it's Jason Aaron writing. Jorge Molina is the artist on this one, but usually it's Russell Donnerman. I love your art, Jorge Molina. And then VC's Joe Sabino is the letter and production dude on this. For this issue, we finally gotten past the Thor on Thor action that was dominating the comic for the past couple of issues, where the Odin son, which is now what past Thor wants to go by because he's unworthy of being Thor, gave his approval to new Thor to do her new Thor thing, which she was going to do anyways, but he had a hard time coming to it since he lost his arm and his girl. Kind of like Moonstruck. He didn't lose his girl, unless you count his hammer as his girl. Jason Aaron is such an amazing writer. He does such a great job after just handling so many storylines at once. We get a nice, like, superhero, supervillain, women uniting, hey, cool that there's a new lady on the block type thing, which I actually thought was really well handled. Oh, we also get a really nice moment where the All-Mother and Thor kind of bond, and she's like, you seem really legit. Just so you know, everything's going to suck in the future. Oh. But I'm really glad that you're Thor. And then on the other hand, we're seeing the Odin son deal with what's happened to my hammer, the ramifications of his father Odin being back in Asgard and generally being a pain in the ass. I do not remember Odin being this obnoxious, but he's a terrible person, and I cannot wait for him to die. Like, Jason Aaron's writing is just, it's brilliant. I'm loving this title. I'm loving the new Thor. I don't care what anybody says about, oh, new Thor's not going to last. Doesn't matter. She's Thor now. She's not a version of Thor. She is Thor. The acts that she commits now will be remembered as Thor's acts forever, and not in the sense that they will be overshadowed and be attributed to a white man, but there will be a time in the future where people will look back and say, Thor, when Thor was a woman, she definitively did these things, and they were important, and they were prominent, and they were great. And I think that is what makes this title one of the most powerful titles out right now, because it shows legacy characters can be just as instrumental to the universe as the original characters. So I'm honestly going to give this a 9 out of 10. I would give it higher, but it was, again, a transition issue between the Thor versus Thor action. And the new arc where Thor and Odinson are going to have to deal with Odin's being back, Odin electing a certain family member who's been missing for a while and who is evil to his personal entourage, let's call it. And so it was a very good setup issue. But it's a great book. Read it, 9 out of 10.
Well, like we said a minute ago, I'm also doing a title by Jason Aaron, and Jason Latour does art.
Jared K. Fletcher does the letters, and Sebastian Gerner is the editor for this issue.
Remember, maybe you watched my We've Got Issues previously that I was on, and I was talking about how Lumberjanes was like one of my favorite new series. Okay, this one definitively is my number one favorite. The art is always so good. Like, the Jasons work together so well. It's almost like one person is working on it. I agree with Guy. I think Jason Aaron is an incredible writer. I've read a few of his things, not really Thor, but I read Scalped which he also wrote, and that's it. Oh, I also read Men of Wrath.
Seriously, Jason Aaron just does angry Southern people so well. Oh my god, even his Thor is written like an angry Southern man.
I was actually going to bring that up. I feel like with Scalped, his writing is stellar. Like, it's really good. But I feel like Southern Bastards really has a personal feel. Mm-hmm. It feels really real, really genuine, and just really scary, actually.
Yeah, like reading it, like it's almost like you feel like you're looking into a portion of the South. It really does look like someone just turned a camera onto a really like a authentic town.
It is really gritty. It sticks with you, you know, after you read it. So if you're not really into it, into things like that, you know, that kind of, you know, it's kind of hard to read sometimes.
Yeah, like not even just because it's violent, but some of the things are just they're difficult moments in these characters' lives that are hard to have to see. You know? Yeah.
So if you're not into that, don't read it. It's okay. I won't hold it against you. But anyway, in this issue, number 7, we're coming to the end of this arc. I think the next one is the last one, and this one was just so good. It's more about Coach Boss and, you know, his time in high school. What a crummy time he had growing up. Like, problems with his dad, problems with his schoolmates, problems with the law, just a lot of problems for this kid. In the first arc, I was like against Coach Boss 100%. And that's like the really magical thing about Jason Aaron's writing. He transformed me from, is that right?
I think, no, because like, he transformed your opinion. He transforms the character. Like, but like she said, at the end of the first arc, like, you hate Coach Boss. And then
he does a terrible thing.
Suddenly, you know, I think it's really amazingly intelligent of Jason Aaron. He gives us Coach Boss's history, and you're like, well, geez, it's not as clear cut as we thought originally.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I really, really admire about writing when it's done well, just to change your perspective, change your way of thinking about a single person. I'm really looking forward to see how it all kind of concludes, and I'm sure it's going to be great. Oh, and I also really love the letters at the back. I know some people don't really read them, but I enjoy reading them, and that's always fun. I'm going to give this issue a 9 because I really enjoyed it.
So yours just keeps getting better.
Yes.
Or keeps maintaining that level of excellence
you
come to expect.
It's excellent. I have not read one bad issue from this series. Amen. Everything has been so good. So thank you.
Seriously, thank you, Jason Aaron. Like, I really want to be a comic book writer, and you're one of my heroes. Like, I wish I want to be able to write like you. Alright, the next series I'm going to do is a series I actually talked about relatively recently in one of the comics as well. Conan Red Sonja, which is written by Gail Simone and Jim Zub. The art is done by Dan Panosian. The colors by Dave Stewart. I gotta give credit real quick to Dave Stewart because the colors in this book are freaking amazing. Like, they just work for like the time period. They work for the characters. It manages to look classic while still being a really sleek, sharp coloring and art style. And then the letters are done by Richard Starkings and Comicraft. If you've seen my review of the first issue of this, you'll know that I was not a fan of either Conan or Red Sonja before. But I am absolutely a fan of the names I saw on here. Gail Simone, I loved her Wonder Woman The Circle. Jim Zub, I've been loving Wayward.
Jim
Zub, Wayward. Woo! And I have not regretted picking up this series one bit. Matter of fact, this is one of the series I'm enjoying the most, and I don't like these characters. I do not care for them. I probably won't pick up more stuff. Maybe I'll be more open to picking up more stuff after this. But I think Jim Zub and Gail Simone are just doing an amazing job because I've heard, although I haven't personally read, that Gail Simone just has the definitive voice for Red Sonja. And I'll believe it. She writes really powerful women. She writes really engaging women. In the first issue, we got the meeting of Conan and Red Sonja. They're both attempting to steal this like death root type plant that like worms its way into the ground and then murders everything. When they finally get it, they destroy it because they're both good guys. They high five and they ride off into the sunset. This is supposed to take place, I believe, 6 years later, and they both run into each other again when Red Sonja and a partner of hers try to destroy the ship Conan is currently on because they think he's working with slavers. They don't know he's there, but they think it's a ship full of slavers. And what I think is one of the things that's so great about this story is how naturally Conan and Red Sonja interact. It really surprises me that there hasn't been a crossover event between these two characters yet, given how similar they are. Like, they've only met once prior in the first book, and when they meet in this one, they're like, dude, what's up? It's like, you know, like when you meet an old friend who you're like, yeah, you're awesome, we only talked once, but you're awesome, and you chest bump. It was like that, and it's amazing. And just the character interactions are so great. The storyline is just like rip-roaring, swashbuckling fun. They're on a boat. Man, this is a really weird way to describe a comic about people with swords. But that's the thing, is it is a comic about people with swords, but it's also a comic featuring stellar characters, and I mean, I'm not particularly intrigued by the villain, Thoth Amon, I believe is his name so far, but honestly, that's okay. I don't really need an engaging villain when the two leads are this dynamic. So, I mean, that's really all I can say about it, and you should pick it up. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's phenomenal.
Kind of at the opposite end of the comic that I reviewed previously. I have a new series here. Well, new to physical comics. It's a webcomic before. Called Help Us Great Warrior. Look at how cute it is.
It's seriously cute.
Right? Sorry, my hands are in the way. Look at how cute it is.
It's written and illustrated by Madéleine Flores. The colors are done by Trillion Gun. That's such a cool name. The cover is also done by Madéleine Flores. The designer is Scott Newman.
You can already tell from the cover. Very opposite from this one.
One has a swear word in it.
This is the Great Warrior. This little girl. This little blob thing. She is the warrior. How awesome, right?
Great warrior, you know, she is sassy. She is kind of like, she does her own thing on her own time. She eats cake. But the other supporting cast, they bounce off of that attitude really well. Hidea, another major character in the village, seems to be the authority figure, kind of like a mayor.
She kind of helps guide Great Warrior.
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can guide the Great Warrior.
You can read it as an adult and then, you know, pass it along to people who are younger than you and don't really maybe know how to read that well, and they can still grasp the general story without having to, you know, maybe be deterred by how much reading they would have to do. Right. And if you like other titles that this company does, like Bravest Warriors, which is confusing when we're talking about this, Lumberjanes, Adventure Times, like all Adventure Time stuff.
Yeah, Marceline and Princess Bubblegum and all of that stuff. Yeah, if you like that stuff, you'll like this.
Yeah, so I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's good stuff.
And now, in honor of Valentine's Day, we're doing the Harley Quinn Valentine's Day Special. It is written by Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti, one of my favorite couples in comics.
They're a couple?
They're married.
Another Valentine's Day surprise.
Conner and Palmiotti, they just do such a great job with Harley Quinn. Like, most of the runs that I've read that I absolutely loved of Harley Quinn were done by Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti. I think their Harley Quinn is the quintessential Harley Quinn, and I'm excited to see them get more titles come June. Since the New 52 started up, there have been 2 prominent versions of Harley Quinn. Suicide Squad Harley Quinn, who is Harley Quinn done to the extreme with a lot of X's. And then there's this Harley Quinn, who is the Harley Quinn everyone has come to love. Who is like a refined comic book version of the Harley Quinn that appeared in Batman Adventures back in the 90s, which is the quintessential, I think, work of Batman ever. I've been loving it. It's a lot of fun. Way more fun than most of the titles DC is currently releasing, which is also, as we mentioned in a prior video.
Hope you watched it.
Because then you're going to know what we're talking about. One of the reasons I believe DC is making this move towards diversifying their comics. There's really not much point to this issue.
Yeah, the whole purpose of this issue is Harley wants to win a date night with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he's being auctioned, and so...
For charity.
Mm-hmm. And so she's into charity because she's Harley Quinn and she loves animals and she loves, like, the downtrodden and stuff. Because she's a good person. She was a psychiatrist. She wanted to help people. She's just gone a little nutty. There's a silly villain who basically just takes the place of a villain in this one.
Yeah, it's like a silly villain duo. And so they're gonna... Oh, I don't want to tell you. But they're villains. I don't normally read Harley Quinn. I don't know why. Don't get on me about it. I don't know why. So, like, I didn't know that she... Like, the dream thing is a common thing. So I didn't know that. So I was like reading and I was like, what's happening here? But it was a really nice surprise. It's really unique.
Yeah, it's off the wall. And you get a little bit more of like a perspective into Harley's mind. Like, she's violent and stuff, but she's not evil. It reads like a really fun animated series. Like, this could easily be its own cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think as far as specials go, I really, really enjoyed this one. I would give it an 8.
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
So we land squarely at 7.75 for this comic.
Good work.
Good work. Anyways, thank you for joining us on this episode of We've Got Issues. It was a lot of fun being able to do it together. Yeah. If you'd like to see the director and me do more comics together, leave a comment below.
Follow us Twitter. Mm-hmm. We like it. Facebook. We like it.
Follow our like individual because we both have our own Twitters as well as the Some More Robots one, which we tend to use a little bit more frequently.
Guy uses Twitter a lot. I use Instagram more.
She uses Twitter too. But yeah, you know, contact us on any of them. We love to just chat. Subscribe to the channel and support our love. So, as always, remember who you are and what you are.
Don't go causing any trouble out there in that wild world.
And
Valentine's Day isn't everything. Love yourself first, alright? You're important.
Bye.
Bye.